We're having really robust, exciting meetings at the Sidney Breakfast Club. The Sidney Breakfast Club is a monthly industry networking / information meeting that happens at the Scholl Center in Sydney. And that thing is growing like a weed. I mean, we are up to about 100 people, and it's because of people like Slavka Schiavio from AML Oceanographic, a speaker at our last meeting in, what are we at here? In February. And we had almost 100 people show up, and you gave a great chat. And so what I'm trying to do is recapture some of that energy, interview folks, what I call Sydney Breakfast Club after hours, and get a sense, because we have a mailing list of 700. So I think a few more people would love to hear what's going on in your company. Slavka, how are you this morning? It was quite a lead up.
I was. Thank you so much, John. I am doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really feeling very honored and privileged that you're giving us some time, and we're going to try to duplicate what happened that morning. There were three companies: yourself, Axis, and ASL Environmental, and I'll be interviewing everyone individually. But people want to know, people want to hear about what these amazing marine technology companies are doing. So I don't know how you want to start this. But you have an audience. It's about 3 million people now.
Oh boy, no pressure.
Tell us about your company and let's share that. Let's share that news with the world.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you for having us. So I work at AML Oceanographic. We're a small oceanographic company if you kind of look at the global scale, but really there's lots more to it. So when people think of global marine innovation hubs, they often think about places like Silicon Valley or Norway or somewhere in Singapore. But what they don't realize is there is a lot of work happening on the advanced side of oceanographic technology right here on the Saanich Peninsula.
That's crazy.
It is
That
not
is
in a
just
massive
nuts.
downtown tower.
Wow. Wow. So exciting.
Yeah, it happens in these little facilities stuck between farmland, forest, and the Salish Sea. So it's really, really cool to see, and it's something we really all should be proud of. AML Oceanographic has been in business right here on the peninsula for 52 years.
Hmm.
We are serving freshwater, oceanographic, hydrographic, and geophysical industries since 1974. We do the design, manufacturing, calibration, and we even have our own software that we provide for these precision oceanographic instruments. We actually have two facilities in Canada, this one here in Victoria, or in Keating really, and one in Halifax. The one in Halifax builds massive systems, but I'm going to focus here on the stuff that we do here on the peninsula.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you like I couldn't do at the Breakfast Club meeting. Occasionally, please, as thoughts jump into my mind. So one of the characteristics of the technology industry and all its derivatives on Lower Vancouver Island
Mhm.
is that these companies are sort of hidden, and they, physically, and that they do a lot of business elsewhere. And
Yep.
so there's the impact is not entirely understood by the local community. So where are your clients?
Everywhere. And it's not even just oceanographic places. It is even countries that are landlocked because we are using, or they are using our technology on rivers and lakes. We have some local customers that we work with here, but really most of our stuff is happening outside of North America even. So probably only about 30% of our stuff goes to the States and about 10% in Canada, and the rest is worldwide.
That is nuts.
Ah,
It's nuts because the general community doesn't understand that there are these extraordinary companies, robust, generating a lot of revenue,
yep. And
dealing
as
with the world. And there you are. I recognize the background.
yeah. And
Anyway,
if
sorry
you're,
to interrupt.
yeah, when you're going to be speaking with Axis and ASL, their stuff is used around the world very similarly to ours. And, like, what are the chances that you're going to have three companies that start with A that work on the peninsula doing stuff that is super global scale, and the stuff that we do is quite unique as well. I'm going to give you an example here. So the stuff that we do here, they're sensors and they're instruments. So here is just a sample of the instrument that we do. So we build an instrument and
Can
then
you
we build
just raise
sensors.
it a little bit? Thank you.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So this is kind of our bread and butter, but what happens here is this is stuff that is used everywhere. What I want to point out is this sensor right here. This is our sound velocity sensor. We were the very first company in the world that actually came up with a sensor that measures this. This is the stuff that you have to use to correct for sonars. So the stuff that, somebody is using $500,000 sonar and they're still not getting accurate information until they use this sensor that was designed right here. Local people, local suppliers, it's pretty cool. We do have other sensors as well. So we have conductivity and we have pressure sensors. These things are all done here. So there's lots on the environmental monitoring side of things that we do, and there is lots on kind of mapping and really solutions in general for subsea and defense applications as well.
I just, you can see I've been around the block. I'm an old man. I am just astounded by what you're telling us. Um, so it was a funny joke at the meeting, how you three companies, you actually work together. I'd like to ask you that question.
Mhm.
And how you've such a presence on the global stage within advanced marine technology development. Uh, and that let's go to the B's next time because you're all with A, right?
Those were just the A's.
It's so fun. Okay, so let's talk about that. Like we talk about collaboration, we talk about coordination, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You guys are living proof of that, and how the three companies find ways to help each other as opposed to compete against each other. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, I'd love to. So the instrument that I showed you is kind of one of our smaller ones. We do have some bigger ones, but the way they're used in the world are by people who are doing similar research as ASL is doing, or they're being put on buoys similar to what Axis makes. So
Oh,
when we have customer that tells us, "Hey, can your instrument go on a buoy?" We're not going to talk to the guys in France about their buoys. We're going to talk to the guy in our backyard and go to Axis, and it's like, "Hey, can you do this?" In fact, with Axis, our engineer, our engineering manager here at AML is actually from Axis. So he's worked there. And so it's not just the suppliers that we have, it's also the talent that we share.
yeah.
We've made a specific decision that we didn't want to try to build sensors that are already built by ASL.
Mm-hmm.
So we made it
Mm,
very specific that we want to be focusing on these sensors because we already know they do that stuff.
yeah.
So in that case, we know we're not competing for the same customers. This is something we can do together. So if a customer comes to us and they're like, "Do you have a sensor like this?" We'll be like, "No, but this company is here and we can even try to put them together."
That's just so refreshing. So Canadian. Yeah. I think,
Very Canadian of us.
right? Very Canadian. We elbows up, but we play together as well. That's great. Um, I've been involved with training, workplace development, um, education, workplace education most of my adult life, and therefore always, intrigued by talent, availability of talent, whether we're training the right skill sets. You, if I might not have indicated this, and I don't remember, are the recruitment and training manager for AML. So you're deep into this, like deep into this, okay?
Yep.
Can you tell me about that? Are we producing enough talent, the right talent? Are people aging out so that there's a crisis? Tell me all about that, please.
There's lots in there. We can probably spend 5 hours talking just about the HR aspect of this. But I would say that the peninsula is actually quite unique in terms of the talent that we do have here.
Wow.
We have quite a bit in terms of talent when it comes to companies that are manufacturing. However, you go a little more specific, the precision manufacturing, then you have companies like Redland and Quester Tangent, where you do have people, but also depending on the size of the companies, and this I think is our biggest problem here on the peninsula, the companies are quite small.
Mm,
So when
mm,
you have 2 or 3 people that run a company, there is not too far that you can go. So you kind of get out of
mm,
your position and there's nowhere else to go in the company. So you do have to do this. The trade diversification is happening lots in our industry, and it is because
mm.
of the size of the industry as well, or the size
Uh-huh.
of the companies. So I personally find that it's quite easy to find people for like the lower entry level jobs here. And then as higher we go, it gets more complicated. So that's why, when I say, hey, our engineer is from Axis, because there are not that many other places he could have come to us.
Yes,
We do need
yes.
somebody who has some experience, who has experience working with water, because, it's quite different when you're talking about this harsh environment than when you're just putting stuff on the road.
Wow. Okay. So that's fascinating. So it's tricky. As folks become more valuable to the company, you are at a little bit more risk.
Yep.
In that. Okay. Uh, are there other hubs within Canada that do the kind of work the three A's do?
Yeah, I would say the next biggest one, similar to what is happening here on the peninsula, is actually in Halifax. There's an organization called Cove, and they do a lot of marine kind of work, and they are in one environment. They're close together, so there are multiple companies that meet, every day in their facility, but they also invite a lot of the other marine industries to come and kind of
Okay.
share. So they
That,
do have innovative lab where they work together, just to kind of get the similar ideas. We would go like, hey, Max and Axis, can we come and try this on your buoy?
mm, um, so I'm gonna now go a little political here, so you don't have to go there, but I think it's worthwhile. It's within the realm of decision making for staff. I've done a bunch of advocacy work on the peninsula, which, by the way, in my humble opinion, and by the facts, so it's more than my humble opinion, is the economic development engine, is the economic engine for the island. People just don't know the depth and breadth and volume of companies that exist like you. One of the challenges to retaining staff, to attracting staff, is affordability of
Oh,
all kinds of
100%.
things, especially workplace housing.
Yep.
Are you at all inclined to say a little bit around that, and maybe the odd politician who, they're in charge of land use,
Yep.
we're not, be helpful for them to hear if this is an issue with the attraction.
Yeah, and I'm gonna preface this as an immigrant myself to Canada. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. I
Mm.
find that only thanks to a lot of the programs that UVic and Camosun has, we have the talent in Victoria that we do. And with the immigration changes, I think this is going to impact us in a way that nobody's actually prepared for.
Correct. I totally agree with you. Man.
So I think a lot of people are willing to sacrifice their savings from other country just to come to Canada and start their life. They come to Victoria because of UVic, because UVic was one of the cheapest places to go and study and obtain your postgraduate work permit.
Hmm.
I think once we remove that kind of skilled labor, we are going to be facing a lot of problems here. And it is because a lot of people are not willing to go from other places to Victoria because of the cost of living. So when I'm recruiting and I'm recruiting somebody from, say, Alberta, and I tell them how much things are here, or they will just email me and like, hey, I looked at your cost of living in Victoria. Sorry, I'm pulling out of this because it is just unreasonable compared to other places.
Man, is that right? So you're hearing that right out of the
I am hearing it right
applicants.
out of candidates. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, we just can't solve this problem unless
Yeah.
And,
The
the amount of houses that would have to be built is beyond our imagination to reduce the price
yeah, yeah, exactly.
and or density that local councils simply will not address the density required. Um, Final words, because this is I'm so excited and so intrigued by what you've told us. Um, Maybe a little bit into the future, which is so uncertain for so many businesses right now. Do you have a few closing comments that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I actually want to talk a little bit more about our supply chain here.
Oh,
We've made specific decisions to buy as much local as we can. And I think this is a really nice thing that we can do on the peninsula. The stuff that I was showing you here, this stuff is made by a company 5 minutes this way.
no
This
way.
over here, when I'm talking about titanium build, is done by a company 3 minutes this way. So we actually do a lot of stuff here locally, and I think that's the nice thing for our future. When we're working with local companies, we are not only looking at our own growth, but we're also looking at the growth of the people around us. So, when we are saying that, hey, we're going to sell about 1,000 of these things, and we say that to the local company, they now can predict how much they can spend with us and, what they need to buy. So when they're buying a brand new machine, they know that they can actually pay the machine off because we now promise them how much we're doing with them. So this is not just the export revenue that we're talking about. We're talking about money spent right here in our community. Half of our employees, we are currently sitting at 68, are here from the peninsula. Half of them live in Langford because, it's still a little bit cheaper there, but half is right here. So when they go to buy their, coffee in the local store or we go buy chocolate right here, it is all going into our community right here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh. What a great way to end, unless you would like to have more points. But that's something I never thought of entirely, this supply chain connection and your commitment to local supply chain development. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I
Yeah.
really do think we have something very special out here. It's not just the marine technology, it's the skilled jobs, it's the strengthening of our own community and our community being so nice to us. And just the fact that, we can call the local friends and try things and, test it and work with them. And we have the ocean right here. And we have the community college that has a marine program where they're actually teaching, especially they have a program for female that is fully paid by the government. There is lots that we have here that you can't find anywhere else.
This is a great interview. You are fabulous on so many levels.
Thank you, John.
And I really appreciate that. And I hope to, what we're going to do is we're going to interview you again, maybe 6 months from now, 9 months from now, towards the end of the year, see how you're doing. With every minute or hour, the world might have changed. And so it's really good to hear positive stories from people like you and companies like yourself. Slavka, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. My pleasure. You know where to find me if anything else comes up.
Totally.
Awesome. Take care.